This is Daniela Cambone for Kitco News, day 2 here at the Swiss Mining Institute in Geneva. And my guest today is Gabriel Pindar. He is one of the founders of Lithium. He's also the director and chief operating officer. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you for having us.
So it's a lithium play in Argentina.
Correct.
Usually I think lithium, I think Peru. So educate me a little bit about the lithium landscape here in Argentina.
There are very few lithium operation projects in Peru. The majority of the lithium production at the moment comes from Chile. The lithium triangle is between Chile, Argentina and Bolivia. So that's where the brine projects are. You know, lithium
Yes.
comes from two sources, either brines or rocks. So the brines come from this region, so the Atacama region in between Argentina, Chile and Bolivia, and the rocks are in Africa, in Australia, in Canada, in a couple of different places. But brines, only there.
So yours is a
brine
project.
project.
Now, from what I hear, it's much more difficult to mine lithium from a brine project than hard rock. It's a lengthier process, more elaborate on the technology front.
It is lengthier, but not more difficult. So it's easier actually. So you're just taking water. Sorry, you're taking salt water from the ground. So you have a salt base, and you can extract salt water that comes in the ground. When you're extracting rocks, it's actually more difficult because you have to extract only the rock that you need, like say pegmatite or a petalite or something like that. If you extract other rocks, you contaminate your product. So then your plant becomes really big and you have to clean the product later. So it's, I would say the opposite. I would say rock projects are more difficult, they're large, they could be scalable, and they're faster to market. Lithium projects, brine projects are slower to market. You have to wait for the evaporation period, but the chemistry is easier to resolve.
Gabriel, let's talk about the lithium market as a whole, because it seems like the stars should be aligned, that prices should be taking off. For example, Volkswagen doubling up on the number of electrical car models they want to push out by 2020. So everything seems perfect, yet lithium prices are not taking off.
Yeah, I think the car manufacturers were very slow to react to the lithium boom. They were relying on government and different authorities around the world not to change requirements. So for example, in the requirements that have changed in London, you cannot drive a diesel engine in London in the next few years.
Right.
So car manufacturers thought that they were going to relax that requirement, and it was not going to happen. Well, it is happening, and now people are starting not to buy diesel engines. So there is a lag in the market in between the lithium production and actually the car production. So, and that is what is at the moment creating that gap.
But are lithium prices solely dependent on the car market, or are there other fundamentals that could be moving the price here?
No, the car manufacturers and the battery manufacturers preparing batteries for cars have moved faster. Now there are other uses, and I would say other larger uses. For example, big batteries to stabilize a grid. Big batteries to be able to use efficiently wind generation and solar generation. So those big batteries are coming, and nobody's talking about them. So there are big units being set up. Last year in Adelaide, they set up a 100 megawatt factory, like a battery. So, and that is a second use that is going to drive a lot of demand, not so much the car manufacturing. So I think cars will be there, and we will have hybrid cars, and we will have different options and different solutions. But the demand is not there yet. They're just putting the order for the next 4 years.
Is there a replacement for lithium?
Not at the moment. So it is the lightest metal in the periodic table. It's very capable of charging. So what people sometimes get confused because we are talking about different chemistries, but all of those chemistries include lithium. So whether you use more nickel or less nickel, whether you use other things, it's just relative to lithium.
Gabriel, there's a lot of information when we're talking lithium, because obviously it was really having a big moment around 2016. What's one of the biggest misconceptions you hear about the market that you would want to clarify for people?
That if you want to produce hydroxide, which is the sort of the preferred chemistry at the moment, because batteries like Panasonic, battery manufacturers like Panasonic have developed a chemistry that is based on hydroxide. If you have the right rock, you can go to hydroxide very well and very quickly without any contaminants if you have the right process to process that. If you don't, you are actually better starting from a lithium carbonate to go to hydroxide because it's a pure source. It doesn't have the traditional contaminants that will have. So I will clarify that don't underestimate the importance of lithium carbonate, even though the lithium hydroxide will be the preferred chemistry.
So for an investor, right, looking to invest in a lithium play, you're saying they need to look at this.
Yes, I would
angle.
consider lithium carbonate lower risk investment than lithium hydroxide.
Okay. Let's talk your project now. You just put a pre-feasibility study around 4 days ago at the time of this interview. What's the next step? What's the goal for 2019 here?
We are going to present all of the information to have our environmental impact assessment considered, approved, if we can, by the government, of course. And we are completing the feasibility study this year. So we should have the feasibility completed by November, December. Subject to financing, we will start construction this year too. So we want to start construction of the ponds, which our bottleneck, what takes the longest is the evaporation process. So if you can start building the ponds and start evaporating, you basically have another year and a half to build your plant.
Finally, Gabriel, I need to ask you about Argentina as a jurisdiction. Obviously, faltering economy here, there are high risks. So an investor who's looking at the project saying, eek, you're in Argentina.
Correct. Well, I mean, a third of the reserves of lithium are in Argentina, so if you want to invest in lithium, you will have to consider that as a destination. Macri has been a massive improvement to the previous government. We are on election year, so by October we have election, so Macri should, I don't know, I don't think he has presented his re-election yet, but everybody's expecting that. And I'm expecting the government not to change. So we just want stability in the country. I think he has taken the right measurements. He has increased a lot employment and decreased taxes. So I think it's the right environment for companies to invest to. In addition to that, if you are in the mining sector, you can apply for 30 years of fiscal stability, which will be in Argentina, which is a massive. So that is.
So a lot of aid for companies
correct.
Mining in the country.
Just adding a stability. So it's another layer of stability that the government can give you. So it's a good initiative.
Gabriel, I learned a lot today. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.